So last time I really enjoyed our call. Loved the conversation. Love where things are headed. And what I love most is that you guys did put your goals on our group page. And so as we go through today's call, make sure that you take notes, whatever pops into your mind. It could be about what we're talking about. It could be completely something different that sparks a fun thought, but write it down. And then at the end of our call, don't forget to go back to our group page and post again what you're going to do between now and our next call to start implementing based on chapter 2, the conversation we had, which, by the way, I absolutely loved chapter 2. I don't know about you guys. This was so fun to read because it talked about those 9 things that we need to do to help people improve their lives, to help them become mentors, to help build them to be the leader that they need to be. And a lot of it is our stuff that we can do. So I took my notes right here, but I will hold off. I want to make sure we get across, talk about the stuff you guys want to talk about. So if you have the audio, that's fine. If you just, hopefully you took notes, you can say, well, I really like this concept. We'll find it in the book. If you have the book, tell us what page you're on. We'll read it together, any of the concepts. So I will, who wants to start off with one thing that really stood out to them? Anybody?
I'll go.
Okay.
Like you said, I really love how it gives you the steps because I'm the type of person that needs steps. I need like little steps of, hey, this is the way to help your leaders do this or do that. So I really love that it did that. And I really loved the last paragraph of lifting others up. I shared that with my team instantly this morning. I just loved everything about that paragraph. And that's what I'm kind of going for right now, is really helping my team to get that mindset and to go in that direction rather than constantly being stuck on numbers and Success Club and, hitting a certain rank and all that stuff, because I feel like everyone just got caught up in that too much and kind of forgot about actually being a good leader and actually helping other people and really lifting other people and not getting a return with that. So I loved that part about it.
Amen. I love that. Does anybody else have a story along with that of how, calls like focus on numbers versus calls where you focus on people and stories and the successes with that? Anybody have an example of that?
Okay. So what we started doing recently is that, because I recognize, obviously we recognize Success Club, and I recognize the vitals, people doing the different behaviors and stuff, but we wanted to have people share their own stories, like behind the scenes of something maybe that we didn't see going on. And so with my team, we started doing a Success Story Sunday. And basically just to start out the week, we ask everyone to share a success story, from like a personal success story, something with a challenger, something with a business, something, whatever is going on in their life. So for example, like I had a really great message from one of my challengers. She actually sent me like a before and after picture from like her first week of progress and the things that she was, saying about how she was feeling and everything. So like I shared that. There were people that, shared similar stories, shared about their own personal journey, like finishing a program, whatever it may be, just to start off the week on the right foot and not always be about Success Club numbers and things like that. So that's what we started implementing. We actually just started, we've only done this for 2 weeks, but I kind of like scheduled it in my team page to pop up at like 5 o'clock on Sundays for people to share. So it got a lot of participation. So it's been a good way to start.
I really love that idea. In my team page, I think that the biggest thing, and kind of to feed off what you said, Ashley, was like, I think that it got to the point at the end of last year where like I've always been someone that's kind of been like, okay, I have to push for, I'm like a feels kind of person. Like I want to feel connected with my team and all of that, but it's really easy to be like, but I have to hit these numbers to get a lead, or I have to hit, whatever, and so-and-so's not doing this, and get caught up in that. And I really like that part of the book too, that said like give help unconditionally. And something that I've been doing over the past 2 weeks, I told Kevin this today, that with my coaches, like once a week, and my challengers on Fridays, it's challengers. At the beginning of the week, it's coaches. I just send them a personal message, and I'm just like, hey, hope you have a great week. What are you working on? Where can I help? Or like, what can I, where can I add something or something like that? And it's just like the ones that want it message me right back and are like, this is what I'm working on, this is this, and this has good happen or whatever. And then like I said in my follow-up with Kevin, was the ones that didn't answer, I gave them another message this week. And then I kind of am like to this point where, the part of this chapter that's like limit who you take along. I would never be like, bye, like the door's always open for them, but I'm done like pulling them in the door unless they want to come. So I gave them that last message and kind of let them know, dude, the door's open. I know we're all busy. Like, I just want to help you the way that you need me to. And I'm kind of over that pulling or like making or forcing. And it's really like freed me to go and find, other people and breathe life into my team in other ways. And doing it like that has like really just that personal touch. Like, and then it makes it easier in the team page. Like, people are participating more because they know that I'm there personally too. You know what I mean? So that's what I've been doing the past couple weeks. And in my challenge group, I've been doing the same thing. And I actually, because I think that they know that I'm there, like seriously, even more personal than the group itself. I had 3 people this week ask me about coaching, and like that never happens. So I thought that was pretty cool.
You bring up a very interesting thing. It's a good segue into point number 2, that the limit those who you take along. Is the 80-20 rule. I know most of you know about this, but I'm very curious to get you guys' thoughts on that fine line of dragging people along and versus letting people say, look, you pretty much suck. I'm not going to be working with you anymore. Obviously in nicer terms, but how do you guys walk that line so you get the most out of your productivity?
I have to say, like, I'm definitely struggling with that. Like, I even said that in my message back to you just like 2 seconds before we started the call. But I think where it's riding that line, right? It's like kind of delicately balancing back and forth between unconditionally working with people, but then also kind of saying, so I think for me, because my goal is elite, that's where I've been working with somebody unconditionally, and I kind of pour into them, and I do, like you said, I forget Beautiful Nation, because that's your name is. When I'm doing that a lot with somebody, then, and I'm looking at who I'm inviting to my team cup, right? Like, then I'm like, okay, I need to focus on who my PS coaches are from 2016, 2017, or my first 3 lines of people, and like who's producing, and let that 20% rise above to the top, and who I'm spending more of my time on. Again, not forgetting about everybody else. I love how you're dividing your week too, by the way. Like, end of the week is challengers, beginning of the week is coaches. I think that's awesome. So thank you for that. But it's an ongoing struggle for me, because I find that I do spend more of my time chasing people around, and I need to stop doing that if my goal is to be an elite coach. So
I think so too. Like something, because I'm such a fixer, like in my personal life, in my life in general, like I tend to be the girl that like goes and like picks the most problematic person and thinks I'm going to fix them and love them to being like the best self. And I think that you can give your heart to people, but you have to get to a point within yourself. And trust me, like I'm still working on this, and this week has been like hard, but like in the best ways, because I've literally had to be like, because my heart can't let people go. Like I became this like almost like a manager. Like I was like managing everyone and neglecting everything else. But it was people who didn't, like, in my opinion now where I sit today, it's like everybody's switch flips at a different time, and you're not going to flip it for them. They have to flip it for themselves. And then that's where you come in. That's where you can provide, mentorship and resources and love and all of that. And like letting them know the door's always open is just as effective as like holding their hand and yanking them behind you, if not more effective. So you just have to, like, if I can say anything to that, it's like for the past 2 weeks, every day I'm like, don't pull, don't drag people. And you have to tell yourself over and over, but they have to want it before you can even begin to help them.
Very good. Anybody? Yeah, Michelle, please keep going.
Yeah, I just want to chime in about that because, when I heard, in the reading, limit who you take along, and then help unconditionally, like that I think that's a struggle for me too. And just even today is a perfect example of, just coaches who I didn't know before the business, who I've gotten like a really close relationship with, or people who I had a really close relationship with. Hold on one second. We need to celebrate Christmas. Okay, hold on. I'm on the call, okay? Sorry. We need to celebrate Christmas. Like, well, I don't know what she's talking about. But so I just think that perfect example was today, even someone that I had a very close relationship with. She's one of my best friends, and just trying to balance, being that, having that friendship, but then being, in the business together too. I think I think in general right now, that's like what I'm struggling with. Not wanting to be there as a friend, but not wanting to push too much. And I don't think I push too much, but trying to gently encourage and help and do whatever I can, because I totally love on my team. And, I believe in so many of them more than they believe in themselves. And I think that also brings me down a bit too at the same time. So I think in general, I'm struggling with that a little bit right now. Working on that.
This is a great, guys, topic to talk about. So anybody else have ideas on what's worked in the past, as far as, because the whole concept here is, and this is true to, I don't care what organization, charity, church, 20% of the people do 80% of the work. And if you're going to build this business, yes, you do need to work with everybody, but you need to spend the majority of your time with your runners. And people can go from the first group of not running to running. They can move up. And so that's why you always work with everybody, because they can be in that group. Just make sure that, and maybe you guys can give some more thoughts as how, if somebody comes to you who is a non-producer, but they're very needy, how do you guys respond to that so that you can make sure that you have enough time to focus on your runners? Does anybody have thoughts on what's worked in the past?
So I'm not sure if this exactly answers your question, but it's an example, like it's a scenario of what you just spoke to. So my team isn't like gigantic yet, but so I still offer one-on-ones to my whole team, and I've gotten smarter about it with like my time, because I was like literally keeping it open at all times, and I began to get so stressed, and I felt like that's all I was doing. So there's specific times, and everyone gets a chance if they want it or whatever. But it got to the point where there were people who like were in my downline, or people who, like you said, weren't really doing anything, but were like energy suckers and like always wanted my time, but then they weren't doing anything with it. So what I did, though, and I do still now, is I still do offer those, because I think it's valuable to breathe life into your like downlines, like your whole team. They're all my family, but they have to have action steps before they get so the first call's like a free call. Like they just get my time. They get, a half an hour of my time. We get on, we gab. But by the end of the call, like there's goal set and there's an action step or something that, like, to get my time the next time, they have to, like, I have to see visible proof that it's been implemented or started or whatever. So I let them sign up for their initial call. We talk. Like I said, they have to set like a personal goal, like a personal like life goal, a personal fitness journey goal, and then a personal business goal. And then from those three goals, I say, okay, how am I going to tell that you have started like going towards that goal here, here, and here? We come up with those action steps, and then I check in with them, or I tell them, okay, on Mondays, you need to send me like, whether it's a business tracker or a sweaty selfie or something. And then when they ask me for their time, if they've missed, like if they didn't do what was there, I'm like, okay, we're going to go through this next week. And if you stay consistent in showing me, then yes, we can have that call. But I've just gotten like, one of the biggest things I've realized, I mean, in just the past 27 days of this year, is your time is just as valuable as their time. And I was giving way too much of my time. And literally, like, I was like, I hate to say this like this, but I was like sucked dry, like to the point where like I couldn't run my own business because I was running everyone. You know what I mean? I was doing everything for everyone else. So value your own time, I guess.
Really well said. Thank you. All right, guys, I'm going to shift gears just a little bit with this. I'm going to move on to page 12. And this is the first one that he talks about. Make people development your top priority. And I'm going to talk about how John C. Maxwell, he says, dismissing others is easy, but it comes at a high cost. And I'm going to start, if you have the book, follow along. I'm going to start in the second paragraph that starts with, I learned this lesson. If you have the audio, you can just listen. It says, I learned this lesson when I was in my first pastorate. My desire was to build a large church. I thought I would be a success if I did. And I accomplished that goal. I took that small congregation from 3 people to more than 250. And I did it in a tiny rural community. But I did most things myself with my wife, Margaret's help. I didn't develop anyone else. As a result, we had success only in the places I touched. We had complaints in all the places I didn't touch, and many things fell apart after I left. I learned a lot from that experience, and in my second position, I made it a priority to develop others. Over an 8-year period, I developed 35 people, and they built that church and made it successful. I'm going to stop right there. That right there, guys, was huge for me. So I did the really hard math. In 8 years, 35 people, that's just over 4 people a year. Think about it. Do you think you can develop 4 people a year? Is that something you can do? And so to the point where now they have a thriving business, and heaven forbid, if something ever happens and you leave this business, it doesn't crash. We talked about this last week. If we were to remove you from your organization, what would happen? Well, he just said right there, he says, I had a very successful organization, but when I left, it all crumbled because I didn't develop anyone. That's exactly what this whole mastermind group is about, is developing people into leaders so that it's a thriving business. It's not just a you business. And think about the feeling you can have of like relief of, oh my gosh, it's so nice that I have everything on my shoulders. There are people stepping up. There's people who are doing, who have taken under my wing. We'll talk about this a little bit later, but this apprenticeship of really picking people, or going back to Tate point, you can't drag people along and say, you're going to be one of my 4. You can't drag them and say, but you can see the sparkle in their eyes. You can see the potential. And if you say, okay, you're going to be one of my 4, then, and if they're on board, guys, that's just so relieving to know that you have somebody on your team who's on your side, in your court, and we're gonna do this together, and you can be just as successful as John C. Maxwell. You can write your own books and say, I developed 35 people over 8 years as well, and that now you have a thriving business. Does anybody have thoughts in regards to that? Yeah.
Well, I have a question. So I have two of my diamonds who are great leaders, but still lean on me and work with me quite a bit instead of branching off on their own. Not that I want them, not that I still want to work with them, but and outside of the coaching business, they have very busy lives. So I think that's part of the reason why they lean on me quite a bit. Does anyone have any suggestions on helping them to develop more as leaders and fly off on their own, not totally on their own, but not lean on you so much? Because that's what I'm struggling with right now. Like, my leaders still depending on me a lot.
Yeah, Barbara, you had the point.
Yeah, what I've done, and I think that it helps, is to give them more leadership roles in our team page. So, like, I'll have somebody take over the team group for a week. I'll pick someone and I'll say, who wants to take over the team this week in terms of posting, and then maybe doing a training call for us within the group on whatever they feel is appropriate that they've learned that they could share with other coaches. And then I also have them do a sneak peek, a coaching sneak peek, develop it, post for it, advertise for it. And then I help them with that sneak peek if they haven't done a coach sneak peek yet. So it gives them that leadership role. And then it kind of gives them the confidence that maybe they could do it on their own. But that's kind of what I've been doing recently. And it does help them. But, they still have to do a lot of stuff. They have to want it. They have to want to actually take on that leadership role. And, and a lot of them have done really well in my team page, but it still hasn't kind of like branched out to where they're like, okay, I'm going to go and apply this every day and do what I need to do every day. but I do think that it gives them that glimpse of, hey, I can do this on my own if I just apply, you know.
Megan.
I'll share something that I've done this month. So I took all my coaches that hit Success Club in December, and I put them all in their own like Success Club group for January, and it'll open and close and change month to month. But every day in there, we talk about like a different topic of the business, and I ask them to share what they do, like how they have success with, let's say, inviting or challenge groups or whatever. Like every day it's just kind of like a different thing that we kind of discuss in a thread, and they share like how they're making it work for them, obviously, because they have Success Club. And then I've been picking someone out of that thread each day and asking them to go share it with the rest of the team back in the team page. And then those coaches that are in that group, so like right now I think there's like 12 of them or something like that. Now granted, I have a 2-star diamond PS coach who's in there with like her girls as well. So it's more of like a 6 and 6 kind of split. And then what we did was when it came time to do our glimpse group, she took like her 6 girls and she did her glimpse group. And I took my 6 girls and did my glimpse group. So those are the people that I'm doing the glimpse groups with, not just like a diamond or emerald or whatever, because they're the people that actually have like challengers to invite. And I'm having them kind of go live and participate that way. So it's like getting them to kind of step up and share more. And it's something that my team knows that they can work towards too, like getting those extra things. And then they see more people than just myself, or, you know, like I have a diamond coach that didn't even hit Success Club in December. So it's like you think you have these leaders, but then you actually, like, I don't know. I think sometimes you think you have to be like Emerald Diamond to be a leader, but I've got people that are giving fantastic feedback and
So
really
Megan,
blowing my mind.
you run your team like the leaders of your team are like people who are Success Club hitters. Is that what you're saying? I think that's awesome.
Now, this is new. It's working. It's working really well. So, like, there's a girl in there who's brand new. She did Core de Force with us. That's how she came into the business. She gave the best video in our Coach Glimpse group as to what a coach is and isn't. Like, I literally almost cried, like, tears of joy down my face. It was the best one I've ever seen. And I have 2-star diamond coaches underneath me who have been in the business forever, and she smoked them. I was like, my jaw was like on the ground. I think a lot of times, like, we have these newer coaches who are like lower levels down. She's not even my coach. She's 3 levels down. And I think they don't get an opportunity. Like, they don't see a space for them to step up and lead because they're not like my wingman or one of my diamonds. You know what I mean? They think of themselves as so far removed, but it's down there. It exists if we like can dig it up. So, I mean, that I've noticed, like I said, it's only been 1 month. Maybe it was a great month. I don't know, but I'm feeling really confident about this. It worked out really well for us.
That's a great point. You know, and that almost leads to point number 5 of this book, which is let them fly with you for a while. Going back to Michelle's question, you know, these people who show tendencies of leadership. And I think at a certain point, you need to let them know that you believe in them, that you are their biggest cheerleader, and you see that they can be a leader. And so you start working out a plan of, okay, my plan is to get you to do this, whatever, by yourself. But I'm not just going to say, go do it. So let's start implementing this. I do, you watch, you do, I watch, you do idea that he talks about in point number 5. And it's simply, and I'm not saying, you know, it could be with challenge groups, it could be with running your own team or whatever, but simply helping them progress. And they have to be measurable progress points. But because so that when they look back, they can say, okay, I actually can do this now. Looking back, I've seen the steps to the point now where I'm comfortable to let this, you know, there'll always be that point of fear that they just need to overcome. But if we give them everything, and if we help them along with that journey and take them under our wings, let them be that apprentice and say, yeah, I think you're ready. Let's set a date for when you're going to start doing this. And then I think at that point, they're ready to go, rather than just saying, okay, I think you're ready. See ya. You know, it's a little rough. I don't know. Any other thoughts with that, or point number 5 you guys want to bring up?
NLC last year, Michelle Meyer, I think it was, shared something really awesome. And it was an example of this, like, I do it first, then I do it, you watch, you do it, I watch, and then you do it. She said what she does, and I haven't implemented, I mean, it's been a year, shame on me, but I haven't implemented it. I guess I have kind of with the wine and why conversations, but she said what she does is that's how she trains her coaches to, like, speak about the business, because I don't know about you guys, but I think that that's part of, like, my team's problem with, like, really recruiting and stuff, is they just either don't know how to, like, talk about the business in a way where people, like, relate to it, or they're just scared. They don't have confidence in it. Like, they know what they want to say, but they're just too scared to get it out. So she gave really awesome tips, and I'm bringing this up because I was just reading through those notes and, you know, jotting down some things I want to start implementing it. And she would get on a call, and it would just be the two of them, or she would do it to her team, and she would present the business like how she would. And then it's the same, she did the same thing. The next time, like, she would do it, and then they would talk about it. And then the second time, like, that person would speak about the business, and she would watch and give them feedback. And it's just kind of like that whole idea. And, like, I started doing that in a different way with my challenge, with my coach, my new coaches in their challenge groups, because I was finding that they were in my challenge group forever. And, like, my challenge groups were like 100 people, and, like, half of them were mine, and then the other half were theirs. And I was like, why aren't you running your own? Like, you'd be great. So I started doing, like, I'll run the group the first month, and you can bring in, you know, I either would put a cap on it, or I'd bring in as many people as you can. And then the second month, we would run a separate group. Like, I would run it with them, you know what I mean? And then the third month, they were running it on their own, you know what I mean? Like, it's almost like an apprenticeship kind of thing. So to that, and it works perfect. Now one of my new coaches, she runs a better challenge group than anybody that I've ever seen. And it just came from confidence, and it came from kind of that, you know, implementation of this, I do, you do, we do.
Barbara.
Yeah, what I was going to say was I actually just did a sneak peek, a coaching sneak peek the other day, and one of my coaches, she's been with me since last May, and we even had we've had a few one-on-one calls, and I've had a call where I've explained the business, and she's been stuck where, like, she's hit Success Club a couple times, but she's been stuck to where she just signed up one coach, and, like, she's not either converting, like, her signups to discount coaches or whatever just to hit Emerald. And even though I had a conversation with her, like, and I actually had a FaceTime with her, and I explained, like, the benefits of hitting Emerald, and, you know, and I went through that whole thing. And she just said in our little message thread before we went in the sneak peek, she said, can somebody a more experienced coach talk about how the business works in terms of, like, how we get paid? And I just looked at that, and I was like, well, that makes sense why she's not hitting Emerald, because she really doesn't understand. Like, even though if we explain it to them, they don't necessarily understand it. And I know for me, I would just go and try and, you know, watch videos and do stuff to really try and learn it, but not everybody is like that. So what I told her, I said, well, it sounds to me like you kind of, if you don't feel confident enough in presenting the business, then I think you should take over and do a training on how the business works in our team page. You know, I just said that to her. I said, because the best way to learn something is to teach it. And there was no response, but so I don't know if she's, like, ready for that yet. But, you know, I think giving them more opportunities to teach us and to, you know, teach other things, I think is probably the best way to do it. You know, and that whole, I just had this conversation with Kevin the other day where I was having people, when they signed up, the same thing, bringing them into challenge groups, like saying, okay, you can bring your people if you have people who want to sign up right away. But now they've relied on that, I think, a little bit too much. So now with anybody new that I bring on, I'm encouraging them in the first call, like, okay, let's, you know, get your list of people, you know, invite them and blah, blah, blah. And now what I'm going to do, and I put them in my challenge group, but I'll tell them, okay, I'll help you set up your own challenge group for the people that you've just brought on board, and I can be a fly on the wall, and you can use any of the posts or whatever that I'm using in our challenge group. They think the sooner we get them, like, to do their own thing, the better. Like, you know, I feel like I kind of maybe made a mistake because some of my coaches, even somebody who's close to Diamond, she just asked me, she's like, oh, can I put some people on your group on the app? And I said, well, you have people, then you should, you know, maybe do your own group on the app, you know? Like, if it's just you, then sure. But if you have people interested, so, you know, I don't know, but that's kind of like just basically all I have to say right now.
Right. Anybody else have thoughts in regards to that? I like that. Thank you, Barbara. Okay. Any other points that you guys want to bring out? Any of the 9, Kelly, Jasa, anything that you guys want to bring in regards to that you guys want to, that we haven't touched on yet? Okay. So I will end with just a couple. And my first one is on, and we've hovered over this over and over again. It's point number 3: develop relationships before starting out, guys. And like I said, we've talked a lot about this already. But people need to understand that they're meaningful to you, that they're just not another number, that they're you know, and you can have a great organization, but it's even better if you know who the people are and you know every one of their situation. And the best time to do that, so it's not awkward, is on that getting started right call. When you're getting to know them, just really take notes about things about their family, things that are unrelated to the business, and that will mean more. Find out when their anniversary, when the birthday, when all the big dates are, and things like that. He talks about the Green Bay Packers coach Vince Lombardi, what it takes to make a winning team. I loved this quote, and pretty much he said there are a lot of coaches with good ball clubs who know the fundamentals and have plenty of discipline, but still don't win the game. Then you come to the third ingredient. If you're going to play together as a team, you've got to care for one another. You got to love each other. And, you know, I love that guy. So, you know, we talked about this last week about, you know, a lot of people suggested the wine and why. You know, I got off another mastermind call 2 days ago where a coach just had a retreat. If you can somehow put together a retreat, somehow do it. I'm not saying it has to be this all out, pay for everything, whatever. It can just be this, you know, show up at the house, show up for dinner type of retreat where you get to know the coaches. Those types of bonding moments really make the team who they are. You learn to love these people. And the coach that did this, and goes along with one of the things that was mentioned earlier, was to help them understand the leadership role. Maybe they need a little push. And so what she did is she paired people in twos on her team and gave them a topic, gave them an assignment, and had them research it. And then they're going to present it on a team called Together rather than just the individual. And that way you have somebody to lean on. You can research things together offline. The two of them can go back. They can get to know each other a little bit. They can talk about, you know, I'll talk about this, you talk about that. And then they have that bonding moment, and it's not as scary. And those are just the baby steps that we need to help people understand the leadership factor. And I really thought that was impressive of her to do that. And she says so far it's going really well. People who were scared to talk on calls are now speaking. People who are nervous, it gives them that extra thing. So develop relationships was one of the key things. And the last thing was point number 7 on this book that I want to bring up. Stay with them until they can fly, until they can solo successfully. And what he's talking about here is the difference between a flight instructor and a travel agent. I like that analogy here. Simply, a flight instructor will be with that person until they're ready to go, but they're constantly teaching them, they're instructing them, and the travel agent says, here's your destination, see you later, and they send you on your way. Make sure you guys are that flight instructor, that you are there for these people. Granted, I understand, guys, this is a business. Numbers mean a lot. Numbers matter. You need to grow your business, and you can grow your business all by yourself, like I mentioned earlier. But guys, I can promise you, you're not going to get to where you really want to go all by yourself. This is a network marketing. You have to have a network of people who trust you, who care about you, who look to you as a leader, not just as somebody who takes my money every single month. They have to look, you guys be that person. So when you do your personal development, if this is your personal development, dive into it. If you have something outside of this, dive into it. But make sure it's about leadership. Make sure you find out how to develop people, because as you develop people, I promise it, your team will just thrive. But if all you focus on are numbers and guys, we need to do better, we need to hit success club, yada, yada, you're not going to grow. You're not, even though that's what gets you money, that's not what's going to make your team grow. People have to know that you care. People, if you develop them into leaders, they will be with you for life. And so, guys, another phenomenal call. Love the participation. Loved everybody's comments. Thank you so much for chiming in. Go back to our group page. Post what you're going to do for the next 2 weeks. I'll try to do better at following up with that. But, guys, once again, show up and let's make action steps. We are a group of doers. Let's do something different to make our team better. And then let's have an awesome couple weeks. So thanks, guys. We'll see you in 2. Peace out.